Welcome to Commander's Daily, everybody. I'm Bob Matthews. This is your one-stop shop for everything going on with the Burgundy and Gold. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button so you don't miss a day of it. And thank you to all of our new subscribers here in the last couple of weeks. I'm absolutely blown away by the response that we've gotten here, and we are really, really glad that you're here. We're going to have such a great time this season. It's not even going to be funny. It's going to be a lot of winning, I think. And it's going to be really, really cool to dig into the Burgundy and Gold here with all of you guys and girls on a regular basis. All right, let's start it up. Minicamp has started. Excuse me. It is, 2 days worth of required attendance. There is news on that front with a certain wide receiver, and as you can see, we'll get to that in our second block here. But first, Dan Quinn addressed the media today, talking with reporters, says everything looks good so far. There are two pieces of good news. The Commanders actually went 2 out of 3 in their OTA no-shows. Laramie Tunstall and Marshon Lattimore both at minicamp today, both playing, both progressing, and both looking good. I think Dan Quinn is very, very happy and excited with the way especially the offensive line is going to look. Well, both the offensive line and the defensive backfield, because Tunstall, obviously, as we say, really, really solidifies that offensive line. And now that Marshon Lattimore is there, you've got Marshon Lattimore and Trey Amos. They're going to be able to develop some continuity in the defensive backfield as we get closer to training camp and preseason. All right, I said 2 out of 3, and I mentioned a wide receiver. Terry McLaurin, not at minicamp. Don't worry about it. I know that the chattering class online is going to go bat you-know-what crazy. We just don't like to we don't like to curse here on the channel. What can I tell you? Okay, here's why you don't have to worry yet. Talking to and listening to some of the folks that I trust on the beat, they're not worried right now. If they're not worried, we shouldn't be worried. Now, there are going to be all kinds of stories that are going to be flying around out there. We went over the one yesterday where somebody, started the chain. You trade Terry McLaurin to the Steelers for a first-round draft pick, blah, blah, blah. None of that's going to happen, and we're nowhere even close to it being a situation to where you've got to even start worrying about that. That's number one. Again, if the insiders aren't worried about it, we don't need to be worried about it. Watch what they say, not what they do. All that's just don't worry about it right now. Also, remember, Adam Peters is already on the record as saying he wants Terry McLaurin to be a Commander long term. He wants him to finish out his career in Washington if possible. At least he wants him long term. I am not worried about McLaurin right now. This is just business. Both sides are going back and forth, I'm sure, and I understand, there is concern because he's 29 right now. He's going to be 30 about 3 weeks into the season, but you have got there's plenty of precedents out there of wide receivers playing very well into their 30s. Just look at Reggie Wayne. I mean, that guy put up 1,000-yard seasons when he was 30, when he was 31. I think he even had one when he was 34. Might be wrong on the day there, on the year there. I'm a little shooting by the hip. But point is, a guy like McLaurin can be very, very productive into his 30s. But again, it's a type of a situation. It's actually the situation where you've got to look at the entire picture. They know that 4 years down the line, what do they have to do? They've got to pay Jaden Daniels. I mean, that's just, they have to. That's a non-starter. So you've got to make sure that you have positioned yourself cap-wise to where you can pay him what you need to pay him and not decimate the rest of the roster. Again, I expect Terry McLaurin to be signed before training camp. Even if it gets into training camp, I'm not going to be that concerned about it because we've seen these kind of holdouts in other places before. You've seen it with all kinds of wide receivers. Wide receivers will get paid. Terry McLaurin will get paid. And now I heard people are arguing, well, he's not a home run threat, which is actually a misnomer. He is. As a matter of fact, there's a stat out there. I believe he led the NFL last year in yards gained on go routes, on just a straight 9 route down the field. McLaurin's your guy for that. So do not worry about the contract right now. My guess personally, it gets done sometime between now and training camp. But if it goes into training camp, hell, if it goes into the preseason, I'm not worried about it. Dan Quinn said in his press conference he's not worried about it, that Terry and Jaden, not only did they have an entire season to get on the same page with each other, but they've been working in the offseason together. It's just not anything that you need to be concerned about right now. All right, there is also an update on the stadium issue with the D.C. Council. So NBC4 in Washington reporting that, and again, it's a case where don't just read the headline here, because the headline says D.C. Council may remove Commander Stadium deal from budget. That does not mean that there is anything wrong with the proposal or that anything's is in jeopardy. Council had a closed-door meeting Tuesday morning. They discussed possibly removing the stadium deal from the budget, from the district's budget. It's called a carve-out. Now, right now, the Commanders' deal with D.C. says that there's got to be an agreement by July 15th. If that date passes, then the Commanders can, if they want, negotiate with Maryland and Virginia. It doesn't say that they have to, but that they could. And yeah, on one side, Mayor Bowser is saying that delaying it could put the deal in jeopardy. But then again, it may not. You know, they're not going to Virginia. They have a standing offer already from Maryland. It's just how long do they want to wait? How long do they want to give D.C. in order to get the deal done? Now, the council has to get the budget passed. You know, they're on a timeline to do that. If they carve out the stadium deal, they say it is, and Phil Mendelson, who is one of the chief skeptics, opponents of it right now, said he's going to meet with the Commanders later this week. They may just need to carve it out of the budget now so they can get the rest of the budget passed and then go back to work on it. He says they want to do their due diligence on it. Now, does that, you know, is it a bump in the road? Maybe a small one. The Commanders say there's really no room for negotiation here. The deal is what the deal is, but it doesn't mean that there's any major trouble right now. His quote was, "It's very difficult for the council to act on a $4 billion proposal in less than 6 weeks. It's not fair to the public. It makes it impossible for the council to do due diligence." I think that is Mendelson and some of the other councils looking for political cover in order to let this thing go ahead. And I think they'll figure out a way to do that eventually, because a $4 billion development of land that you're not getting anything off of right now and that you need tax revenue off of is still a $4 billion deal. I think it's a good deal for the city. Obviously, there are some that don't. If you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. I don't think it's anything to worry about, you know, anything major to worry about right now. And we'll see what the future brings. Finally, a little bit of news out of the NFL that could potentially impact the Commanders. The Green Bay Packers letting Jaire Alexander go. They released him earlier this week. So brings up the question, is he a potential fit in the defensive backfield here in D.C.? I don't think he is, but here I'm going to tell you why. And again, I might be completely wrong. I'm not a defensive coordinator. I'm not a DB's coach, and I'm sure as hell not a general manager. But looking at things on the surface, why would you have some concern about Jaire Alexander coming to D.C.? All right, number one, he has been injury prone. We know that. In fact, last year, he only played in, let me read it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. He has been hurt the last couple of years. Now, when he has been healthy, he has been great. As a matter of fact, even when he's not healthy, he's he's great. He has been a starting caliber defensive back his entire career since being drafted in 2018. And as we know, if we've done our reading, how do we here on the show grade that? Well, we use PFF to do that. And he's had a starter/elite grade, either overall or in coverage from PFF his entire career. Here is where, on the surface, I would say there could be a problem with signing Jaire Alexander. When you look at his style of play, he plays more, he excels more in zone coverage. Can he play man-to-man? Absolutely. But the Packers' defensive scheme is much more zone than it is man-to-man. And the Commanders' defensive style is exactly the opposite. More man-to-man, zone is usually more the middle of the field. Because of that, just right off the bat, it gives me a little bit of a William Jackson III vibe. You don't want to put a square peg in a round hole, or vice versa when you think of it. So would they take a chance on Alexander? Maybe, perhaps, but it is a big cap hit. You are trying to sign Scary Terry, and he may not be the right fit for the defense. For that reason, I would think Jaire Alexander might go elsewhere. But hey, if the coaches see something on tape that they think they like, think about it. It may be a situation they may look at it and consider, and take a chance on it, especially if the price is right. All right, that's going to do it for us. We got to get on out of here. More tomorrow from minicamp. We'll hear from some players, hear what they have to say, and we will give you an update if we got any on Terry's contract situation. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe. Again, thank you so much. Those of you who've supported it so far, we look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. And like the wise man always says, if you're out on your bike tonight, as always, do wear white.